You know, I never hear anybody say, I sure regret spending every Sunday afternoon at my mom's house eating fried chicken. I never hear anybody say, I sure regret taking Dad on that last fishing trip we went on. I never hear anybody say, boy, I sure regret spending all those hours on the phone talking to my mama. No, friends, I don't hear anybody say that. But what I do hear them say is, I sure wished I had more time with my parents. I wished that I could stop by on Sunday afternoon and have dinner. I wish that I would have taken that fishing trip that my dad bugged me about so much. I sure wish my mom was close by so I could pick up the phone and call her. Friends, we never know how much time we have with our loved ones. That's why we need to take the time today while we can. My name is Lisa. Welcome to my front porch. This is my channel, Raised on the Moon. And I work with seniors every day. I help them enroll in their Medicare benefits as well as other insurance issues that they have. I work with them. I talk to them. I'm the lady sitting across the table, going over their plans, talking to them, asking them about their medication, looking at the house and seeing that it's run down. And I ask them, do you have anybody that can be here with us to go over your medication? No, I don't. My daughter, my son live here, they live there. They're too busy. I'm the lady who has to hear that they need transportation. Does your plan have transportation? I need a way to get back and forth to my doctor's appointments. I ask, what about your children, your grandchildren? They're too busy. They live here, they live here. There's no one. I look in the yard, I see the yard is grown up. They need repairs on their house. But there's nobody there. There's nobody that will call them, talk to them. There's nobody there who will come and assist them in their golden years. I don't understand that. I don't understand why you won't pick up the phone and call your parents. If you understand that, if you know why, please, enlighten me. Leave it in the messages, because day after day, I have appointments with seniors, and I'm heartbroken by the situations that they live in. Many of them are sitting with their phone in their hand or on the table, and they're waiting for their child to call. But their child doesn't call. Their grandkids don't call anymore. Nobody's coming over for Sunday dinner anymore. I don't understand the world that we live in. I grew up in a world where I was at my mama's house, even when I grew up and I got married. I was there once or twice a week. My husband that I was married to at the time, he would say, you'll never be able to leave. You'll never be able to leave the state. You can't cut the apron string from your mother. I did grow up, and I did move away. But I had this, and my mom and I talked frequently on the phone. I went home. I drove 900 miles twice a year to be there with my mom and my parents as they were aging, because you don't get that time back. And it's heartbreaking when you can do something to change it, and you don't. I remember sitting on the front porch like we're doing here, sitting on my front porch, having a cup of coffee, and my mom would be sitting right over there. And we'd just be sitting here, listening to the birds, having a conversation. Those are precious memories. I miss them so much. But it seems like the world that we are living in is moving really fast. Children grow up, they get their education that their parents spent so much time into giving into their life. And then they get their education, they get married, and whoop, they fly the coop. And they're not making phone calls. They do a little bit in the beginning, but after a while, their life gets so busy that they kind of dwindles down to once a month they call, then it's once every couple of months, maybe twice a year, maybe once a year. Can you imagine yourself if you're a young person? I mean, I consider myself decently young. You know, I'm 57. Can you imagine that, you've got a heart condition and you can't move around like you used to? You're not able to mow your lawn like you used to, and you're not able to do the housework that you used to. And, you just get up and congestive heart failure, and you're just getting up and getting to the bathroom and the kitchen to get something to eat, and you're out of breath. These elderly parents are longing for you to connect with them, their children to connect. And I'm not trying to shame anybody. I do know that, yes, there are some situations where your parents you didn't have a good and loving home. You didn't grow up with a good home. And you probably had manipulating parents. But there's so many of them out there that didn't. And they weren't like that. And I think that they deserve a lot more respect than they're getting from their children and their grandchildren these days. I'm not trashing on anybody, and I don't mean to. It's a Friday evening, and I'm sitting here on my front porch, and I'm just thinking about, the families that I met with this week, and those that are not as fortunate as others who are very mobile, and they can get out and they can go around, and they have, had good jobs and retirements, and they have the means to have some of this work done. But then I think about the others that don't, and it's just heartbreaking. We grow up and life gets hard, and there's a lot of things that needs to be done, and families just need to come together. They need to come together like they used to, because I remember families working together, taking care of mama, taking care of grandma, and your nieces and nephews and the brothers and sisters and grandkids lived within 30 minutes of grandma and grandpa, and you've got a large family. I remember families pitching in, and one would be there for breakfast, and maybe one lived with them, and one would be there for lunch, or somebody would come by in the evening. It doesn't have to be all on one person. And there's so much of that goes on. Usually it's piled up on one caregiver, but it doesn't need to be like that. It really does seem like the world that we live in has changed drastically. I long for simpler times. I long for those days of simplicity, Gardens. When Mama and Daddy had their gardens. I long for that. I long for the times where we would get together with family and we would have our evening meals, a Sunday or a Saturday special meal. And we would be bringing in fresh green beans out of the garden and tomatoes and potatoes. And oh my gosh, the fresh corn on the cob. Nothing like it. And don't forget the cucumbers. And we would get together and we'd celebrate. And everybody would pitch in. Mom and Dad would be there, and everybody would clean up. Are there still families like that? Because we're so busy, and I just don't seem to see life like that. And I wish that it was. I think we need to get back to more closeness, coming together as a family as best as we can. Friends, this world is going as fast as it can go. And everybody's got these and they're on it. And you've got AI and everything is speeding ahead at lightning fast paces. And we're missing out on human connection. Human connection is so important. I went over and visited my daughter last week. I just stopped in, and my grandson is 15. Came out of the back room. They're homeschooled, and he was back there playing on one of his games, and he saw me, and he came in and he put his arms around me and he said, "Hey, Grandma, I love you." And I was like, that just melted my world. Melted my world. That's what we need. I'm not saying we need to shut everything off, but we do need to take those times, more than a few minutes. That blessed my soul to know that he came in there because he heard me talking. I meant enough to him to greet me. He's my oldest, my first, my special one. And clearly I'm still special to him. That made me feel so good. I'm just 57. Friends, if you're out there, I don't know how old you are. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if this is even something you like to talk about. But let me know if that would mean something to you. Let me know how old you are watching. Do you have grandkids? Do you love it when they wrap their arms around you and tell you that they love you? Maybe you don't like it. And I know that. Some people don't like that. But I think more people enjoy and need and crave physical touch and closeness. The world is going so fast, and it'll be gone in an instant. Just like we could be in a car accident, and all the things that we didn't share with our loved one, with our grandparent, with our mom, those are going to be the things that we regret. We won't regret the big house we didn't buy. We won't regret the fancy car. We won't regret the fancy clothes that we didn't get. But we will regret the time that we could have made a difference in our mom or grandparents' life. We will regret the fact we could have stopped by one more time. You will regret the time you didn't pick up the phone when Mom called. Don't let that be you, my friend. Pick up the phone. If you have a parent, if you have a grandparent, pick up the phone. Let them know, I'm thinking about you, Grandma. I'm thinking about you, Mama. I love you. That's all it takes. You'll be glad you did. Thank you, friends, for joining me today on my front porch on my channel, Raised on the Moon. I hope you subscribe because my channel is about simple living. I do bring some tips about retirement and Medicare, things like that, because obviously that's what I do. That's my field of specialty. So I will be having videos about that and simple downsizing life. God bless, and I'll see you soon.